Hey, welcome back. I wanted to give a positive update for feels like the first time in forever. I went to Boston yesterday and um, my labs are stable, which is great. My platelets came up like 30,000, which is awesome. My red blood cells and hemoglobin dropped like a little bit, but not in the same manner that they were dropping before. Like they were down to like 2.8, I believe. Um, which is pretty low if you look up like what the normal amount should be. But um, the rest of my labs were stable, which was great. And this new med that I started last week, which is the one that says hazardous drugs on it, is working, which is really exciting. And it's weird because it's like a double edged sword, right? It's exciting because it's working and I'm gonna start feeling better, and I already am. Like, it looked like I had Botox before because my cheeks were so swollen, and I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here, but this is a genetic thing in my family, and we call it the Morris chin. But it was like huge, and it was really hard. Like, you couldn't even press on it. You couldn't pinch my skin. You couldn't pinch my skin on my cheeks either. Everything was just like really tight, and like it was like that kind of all over my body. And now my face has softened up. It's definitely not as swollen, even though I'm still retaining fluid. um, so something's working. I also have like very limited range of motion with my shoulder blades, which is kind of where my GVHD started. But like back in May, I couldn't put a t-shirt on without the help of Dan, like taking it on or off, and it was painful, but it was like more limiting than it was painful. Like I wasn't keeled over like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm dying. I was just like, oh, I can't lift my arms over my head and I feel like I need to add like oil to all my joints. But it's fine. And I went on steroids and it made that way better. But I think that was just the beginning of all of this because I still have limited range of motion, but now it's like incredibly tight. I feel like I'm wearing a shawl all the time because my, like, I guess it's the fascia, which is like a layer underneath your skin but over the muscle, is inflamed and causing scarring from the GVHD. And this new medication helps reverse some of that fibrosis, which is the scarring, and then brings the inflammation down by blocking, like it's called the ROCK2 pathway of inflammation, and it like rebalances your immune system, I guess. And my team told me that like if this med works, which it looks like it is, it's still really early at a week, but um, that like it's a definitive diagnosis of chronic graft versus host disease. And the reason why that's so important is because most chronic graft versus host disease can happen to anybody who has a transplant, and it's like they do a lot of stuff in the beginning to try to limit it. Like they give you certain chemos or certain medications that are supposed to help like suppress the T cells, from doing this, but it doesn't always work, and it's experimental. More or less experimental. We joke that I'm experiment. We used to say experiment 626 like Stitch, but there's obviously a 626 and there's a 627. So I'm experiment 628, and I am the pavement for this road right now, especially for my children, because if they have to go through transplant, which is a very high likelihood, we can learn from my experience and the stuff that I'm dealing with, and like, what a weird position to be in. Um, but it is what it is, and I'm very happy to be alive and I'm happy to be here. It's just hard, and exhausting. But my appointments, instead of being weekly right now, are now moved back out to monthly, with the caveat that like if something happens, I need to tell my team immediately, or if I'm not feeling right or whatever, so they can get me in. But like Tuesday, I noticed a little bit of an increase in energy, and that was pretty much it. And then Wednesday, I felt a little bit better, and like I noticed that like my face was softer, and I think I could put my hands over my head. And sorry, chemo brain trying to remember all this stuff. I can put my hands over my head, and while it's still like tight in my back, I can feel that it's like a little bit looser. Um, and that's like, I don't know. I almost think like, oh my gosh, is this actually happening? Am I actually feeling better? Or is it just like all in my head? But the fact that like Dan could see a difference and feel a difference, and then like my team could see and feel a difference was also really encouraging. They did say that it's still incredibly tight and like they can see it and they can feel it on my back when they looked yesterday. Um, but it's going to take a few weeks for this med to like really start working. So by the time I see them right before Christmas, I'm hoping that we have some like major improvements. And it sucks to get diagnosed with chronic graft versus host disease because like what should have been roughly 12-month recovery is now like 3 to 5 years for some people because the GVHD is like hard to get under control. Like, I was on steroids. It's the first line of treatment. If that doesn't help, then you go on another medication if you have to. And I did. And I went on a medication called Jakafi. And that's supposed to be for graft versus host disease. But then I couldn't come off the steroids even though I'm taking the Jakafi. And as we came down on the steroids, my swelling just went from like, I think where it was kind of noticeable to like, oh my gosh, it was like overnight. I woke up and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm huge and I feel like a water balloon that's gonna pop. And like, there's no other way to explain that. It was a horrible feeling and I still have it, like, especially in my legs. Like, I can't cross my legs and I can't bring my heel to my butt because everything's so tight in my calves and my thighs that like I physically can't do it. And I have so much inflammation in my legs that like looks like I have cellulite, but it came out of nowhere and it's all over. And it's not cellulite, it is inflammation of the fascia, and it causes like rippling and stuff. Like, you can look this up. It's frustrating, but with everything that I've been through, it's just kind of like one more thing, and there's a potential that it might go away, so that's encouraging. Yeah, I wanted them to up my Lasix because I'm still retaining fluid, a lot of fluid, and I lose like 6 or 7 pounds in a few hours of using the Lasix, but then as soon as the Lasix wear off, I regain all that weight. And I'm hoping, I think we've seen a little bit of a shift in my weight last night into today, where with the amount of Lasix I'm on and everything else, and this new med made me working, that like the weight that I'm losing hopefully will stay off and I'm not just gonna like balloon back up like I always do, or always do since this has happened. And they said they don't really want to up my Lasix right now because I wanted them to put me on it twice a day, so that way I could take it in the morning and I could take it like in the afternoon-ish. So then maybe I wouldn't just like go right back up. And basically they don't want to burn my kidneys out. And it's not a fix for the problem. It's just to make me more comfortable. So it's all experimental, whatever. But the appointment went better than the last few, which is encouraging. I feel a little bit better. I'm like pretty burnt today, but that always happens the day after Boston. And like my muscles are just really sore and whatever. So I'm just kind of taking it easy. But, positive news is positive news. And even though it feels like 3 steps backwards, like this is one more step forward and one more step maybe to getting like some of this under control. And it's still better than before transplant. And that's like crazy because this isn't great. But thanks for staying tuned. I'm probably going to have more updates soon. I don't know. We'll see. Depends how I feel. But thank you for everybody who like follows us and reaches out and everything. It makes a huge difference in spreading awareness. Thanks.